Liam MacFadyen, congratulations on your performance and victory at Unified 57.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. I've set a few questions. First and foremost, obviously, you fought a very tough and relentless and experienced Gabe Sagman. I want to know, what was your main strategy going into this fight, and how do you feel you executed it?
So main strategy was just don't let him get me down. And if he gets me down, get up to the feet, keep it striking. So I know he's a two-time world champion in no-gi BJJ. So I didn't want to mess around on the ground with him. So even if I got on top, I was trying to get back to the feet where I felt I had an advantage for sure. So had a last minute switch up, so I wasn't able to prepare too much for a heavy grappler like that.
Right.
So yeah, I just had to adjust over 2 days, try to work on my get-ups and sprawls, but definitely got to work on my sprawls after that fight.
How early did you find out that your initial opponent or was unable to compete and that you'd have a new opponent?
So it was 2 days before.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
What was the initial reaction to that?
Oh, I was pissed off.
Right.
I was pissed as soon as I found that the other guy wasn't fighting. Um, so I didn't know if I was gonna get another opponent or not. Heard they had a couple other guys in the works, but I obviously wasn't too happy that the initial guy was pulled out when I was preparing all camp for him. And then yeah, I was happy when I found out there was going to be someone. Gabe was the only one who was willing to fight. I think the only one that could have got his medicals done. His medicals take a long time in Ontario, so it's not a lot of options when there's a short notice pullout.
It's great that you did get an alternate to step in. Obviously, this individual,
Yeah,
Gabe Sagman, is very experienced. Were you intimidated
yeah.
by the fact that he had so many fights under his belt?
No, wasn't intimidated. I watched his tape and figured I liked how I matched up against him. So wasn't intimidated. I have lots of sambo experience and other competitive experience and judo, wrestling, and that. Been competing my whole life. So him having more MMA experience didn't worry me.
Very interesting. I'm curious to hear a bit more about that. I have a question later on that I want to ask about that. In terms of, so it was an entertaining fight. Obviously, I got to watch it. And reflecting on this match, what were your main key takeaways from this experience overall?
Main key takeaways are got to work on my takedown defense. I guess I kind of rushed in, let him take me down off a leg kick to start it off, and a couple of things I need to sharpen up with getting pressed against the cage, fighting the hands a bit better, and making sure the legs don't gas out after a full round of hard grappling.
What was the energy like in Toronto there when you were fighting when you were there? Because I've seen you debut here in Ottawa at your first professional MMA fight for Unified,
Yeah.
and I remember you were walking over, and I could see you were very intense. You were in the zone, and it was a fun match to witness, and the fans.
Yeah.
It's your hometown. Obviously, the crowd was going nuts, myself included. It was a fun match to witness. Going into this match here, this is you're in a different town. You're in Toronto, the biggest city in the country. What was the mood and vibe like there?
It was huge energy in the crowd. It was amazing. I had a really big group come out from Ottawa to come out and support, and they were definitely loud. So yeah, it was a good rowdy crowd on both of our sides. So it was good. I think they might have been yelling at each other a little bit during it, so that was fun. But yeah, it's just crazy energy in there from both sides, and yeah, that just made it so much more fun,
Now,
exciting.
for sure, can you tell us where you train? Because it seems like you train with multiple different gyms, which is awesome. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I train at Westside Muay Thai Fight Factory, and my parents have Tina Takahashi martial arts. So I
Fantastic.
get my striking mainly at Westside Muay Thai there, and Fight Factory have the best MMA in town. So get my MMA in there and great Brazilian Jiu Jitsu as well. They got the best BJJ there too. So yeah, blending that together and do sambo at my parents' gym.
Right on. So you have a lot of coaches ultimately. What sort of feedback are you getting from all these different coaches on your performance?
So luckily they all work together really well and have a good relationship and don't really conflict with each other's game plans and stuff like that. And the guys at Westside handle more the striking, and then Fight Factory they handle more the grappling game plan. So yeah, they're all on board with what I need to do in my matchups and what I need to work on. So this one was, takedown defense and yeah, how to keep it on the feet pretty much. But this was a special matchup where a guy was extremely good at grappling, but not so good on the feet. So the next matchup will definitely be different. I'll be blending the two more.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you actually, you stepped up there against a very experienced fighter, who's who's fought over 14 times now. Very tough, very relentless, and you beat him. And I mean, it makes a statement, considering it's only your second professional MMA fight, to have been pushed in the deep end, to even accept it, because I think some fighters wouldn't, you know what I mean? They probably wouldn't accept to fight someone with that level of experience. But what's interesting about you, you have quite the extensive background in various grappling styles, from judo, wrestling, as well as you do striking with uh, Muay Thai, of course. But you've also competed at the national level, I believe, for judo international as well at the junior level, and you have a wrestling background. You've competed internationally in sport and combat sambo. How has this diverse experience influenced your overall approach to MMA? And it's important to note that you're a third generation martial artist, combat sports athlete. It's you have a very interesting story. I happen to know it because I'm from Ottawa, but if you can first answer that first part of the question, how has this diverse experience of having all these different styles influenced your approach to martial arts, to MMA, pardon me, and then if you can kind of connect it to your background and your heritage in combat sports.
Yeah, so just competing since I was really young helps a lot, no matter what the sport was. Started out in judo and then later blended into wrestling and sambo and that, and then Muay Thai after. But any sort of competitive experience helps for sure with nerves and confidence. And I started out just my mom got me to be very aggressive with judo, trying to be high action the whole time, and that's kind of blended over into every martial art from there. And now I try to always keep a high pace in MMA, try to keep high action the whole time, control the match. So there's some things that tie in together that even though they're completely different martial arts, uh, the competitive experience carries over into each one, and just having more confidence, knowing my family for generations has been competing at the highest level. So I know I can do it too, even if it's in a different martial art.
Yeah, it's awesome. Can we hear a bit more about your competition, if you don't mind, internationally in sambo? I believe it's both sport and combat sambo, right? Primarily
Yeah,
combat. Go ahead.
primarily combat. Yeah, so I won Pan American championships in Pan Am in combat sambo. Came second and third as well. I won the Grand Slam in Ireland and came fifth twice in the World Championships for combat sambo. And didn't do as much sport internationally. It's hard to do both because you have to compete 2 days back to back and then cut weight during one of them. So I like the combat more, so focus more on that.
That's very interesting. For someone who's never seen you fight compete in mixed martial arts, how would you describe yourself? You mentioned that, initially with judo, you were very aggressive with throws and your entire approach. How would you describe yourself as a mixed martial artist?
I would say aggressive and someone likes to keep a high pace and pretty well rounded everywhere it goes. It might not have been the highest pace fight at the start of the last one I just had, so I let him take me down and then press me up against the cage for a while. But if he didn't have such a good squeeze, it would have been a lot faster paced match for sure. I like to keep it exciting and make it enjoyable for all the fans. That's one of the main things.
Absolutely. Last question for you. You're 2-0. You just beat one hell of a fighter, and you're moving on to future fights. Well, what's next for you? When can we see you fight again?
So I don't want to have too long of a layoff. We'll see who Unified offers me next. Don't have any call outs right now. Just gonna wait and see who wants to fight me, and hopefully get a good tough matchup. I'm sure only tougher guys will want to fight me now after being a guy with much more experience. So we'll see who they match me up with, and hopefully get a fight soon.
Absolutely. I mean, as I mentioned before, you've made quite a big statement there, and I'm really curious to know what's going to unravel next. Who are they going to book you against? If you don't mind me asking, what's motivated you to transition into professional MMA? As you mentioned before, you've competed in various sports. You already have a rich track record of competition on the amateur combat sports side, sambo, judo, wrestling, Muay Thai, etc. Why transition into MMA? What nudged you to do that?
So I've always been a big fan of MMA. I think I had the first UFC video game when I was a little kid, and
Nice.
started watching it pretty young. Always loved the sport, and then eventually getting into so many different martial arts over the years, it just made sense to put it all together. It's been a dream of mine for a long time. Just wasn't sure how I'd put them all together with a solid camp that could make me go very far. And I'm fortunate to have found that now. Training at Westside Muay Thai Fight Factory, they've been really helping me put all the martial arts I know together, and it's been great.
That's awesome, Liam. Are your brothers also, if you don't mind me asking, are they planning to cross over into professional mixed martial arts as well? Because both of your brothers, you're the youngest of three, and all the boys have been in these sports and they've all competed. I believe your brother was on the wrestling team, the Canadian national wrestling team, and So are they planning? Are they going to do MMA as well, or?
I don't think so. I think Adam might be retiring. I'm not too sure yet. And Torn, I think, just sticking with the Sambo for now, but we'll see.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations again on your victory. And I'm looking forward to see you compete again.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate you.